What's up guys, I'm TJ Hunt, and today I got the invite from Magnaflow to come get a first look, an early access look at the 2022 Subaru BRZ. Now if you guys know who I am, or maybe you don't, but I'm a big BRZ fan. I got my first BRZ, the Gen 1, the one that you can see in the back, and that's not mine, but I had a Gen 1, still do. I got it back in 2013, and I'm a big advocate for that car. I love that car to death. So when they asked me to come see this, I took the opportunity. So let's just kind of take a first look walk around, because I think as a BRZ fanboy, GT86 fanboy, one of the first things that I really noticed with this car was the look is a little bit non-aggressive compared to what I think we were expecting. This looks like Toyota or Subaru kind of threw a Camry or a Corolla skin on top of the BRZ, because we have a lot of body lines that are kind of mushed together. If you actually, if you can see the old BRZ next to it, a lot more aggressive, a little more, it feels more skinny, more light on its feet. This one looks a little bit more heavier, a little bit more bulky. But one thing that I do know that I haven't seen in person yet is the first BRZ had the FA20 2-liter. Now on this car, we have the 2.5, which I don't know off the top of my head what the exact horsepower ratings are, but we are getting a little bit more power out of the factory. And when it comes to the guys who are gonna do any boosting or force induction, that's gonna go a long way. But as I'm seeing this car, I'm literally seeing this the first time as you guys are seeing it, it looks exactly the same. Everything looks very, very similar. The whole entire motor looks identical. You wouldn't really know it was a different car if no one told you. Interesting. Everything is exactly the same. Still got the sound deaden box, so it's not too loud. Everything looks the same. Okay, well, from the outside, looks kind of like a Camry mixed with a BRZ in my opinion, but one thing that I know does look different is the interior. So I do want to see this, because off the bat, this is actually a lot different. The general layout is the same, but Alcantara on the side of the door. You actually have door pockets, which you never had before. Steering wheel looks like it's bigger than it was on the Gen 1. Again, kind of tailors towards that Corolla, Camry, want to appeal to more of an audience. That's where I think it's coming from. Wow, it actually looks a lot like a Corolla on the inside. This is like the new Toyota dash. All those parts just kind of fell into this car. Not necessarily a bad thing. It's nice to have the features and all the updated specs, but it still very much looks like the same car. It's just kind of reskinned on a new chassis. Storage is all about the same. You kind of still have the fighter switches that you had in the limited version of the BRZ and FRS. Gauges are all the same. We have a new chime. This chime is new. Bigger touchscreen, all that type of stuff that makes daily driving a little bit easier. Seats are still great. One of the favorite things for me about the BRZ when it came out is that I thought the seats were fantastic. So it's kind of cool to see that the seats are still, they kind of have that sporty feel, very comfortable, has bolstering for the guys who are going to want to go rip it at the track. Whoa. I don't know if you can get a shot of the tachometer here, but that looks pretty cool. So they kind of took the facelift BRZ, facelift FRS tachometer and threw the same design, where you still have a digital tach on the middle, and you kind of have the digital tach on the left, and on the right hand side it's a separate screen, but it's still digital, but no more analog. I think when it's off, it's just blank. Yep, it's just a blank screen. So they've switched to a complete screen now. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. To me, it's like they're trying to tailor to making it. Actually, watch this BRZ trick. You hear that chime? Oh, they got rid of it. There used to be a button right here that would show that the door was closed, and it wouldn't chime anymore. Well, it looks like they have changed some things on the BRZ. I don't know, I feel like they're really trying to tailor the car towards a general audience, which is gonna help with sales, I get that, but. Now the rear end of the car is actually my favorite part about this whole entire car. I think the rear end is a little bit bubbly, but the way they kind of tailored in this taillight garnish into the back, and there's like almost an aggressive like lip spoiler in the back, and the diffuser has, a couple of movements on it that look pretty good. And you have this really interesting rear hip flare on the rear quarter panel and rear bumper that I thought was really kind of interesting, and I'm curious to know where it comes from. I'm sure it's like, you know, part of their aero development with this car, but there's like this weird little shark fin on the rear bumper, and there's like a stick-on piece onto the rear quarter that I don't know why it's like a stick-on. It makes me feel like maybe there's supposed to be a side reflector here in other countries, or maybe there's like a GR edition or an STI edition coming later that they're going to play off of this. But that actually kind of follows right into this side skirter, which is honestly my favorite styling point of this car, because I feel like the rest of the car is kind of bland, but they kind of did us well in the side skirt area. So we have a really interesting body line. It's very out of character for what the BRZ is. And in the front, you actually have some actual functional aero, which is really cool to see. It's only, you know, a 2-inch vent, but the fact that you actually have aero coming through the front and it does exit is kind of cool, which is probably why the side skirt plays off and kicks the air up and goes over the rear quarter panel and out the bumper, or kind of over that little bumper flare. I like to see that. It shows that they did put some effort into making this a sports car rather than just like a bubbled Corolla that's 2-door type of feel. It's cool to see that, but I've heard a lot of good things about this car. I'm excited to actually get behind the wheel of 101, and actually see how much different the 2.5 motor feels from the 2.0. And as you can see, you know, it's been at Magnaflow for like 48 hours, and they're already cooking up something for all of us to get a good exhaust out of there. Because one of the biggest things I told them, I was like, we need to be able to hear the car, because this car is so quiet. Usually, all the Gen 1 BRZ fans will know this, the crickets out of the FA20 were louder than the car out of the stock exhaust. So if you can't hear the exhaust, it kind of defeats the whole purpose of having a little sporty car. So first look, it sounds like I kind of bashed it a little bit. I think I'm a little disappointed on the styling characteristics, but I know there's some good guts underneath this. I know there's a lot of development in the aftermarket world that's really going to carry the BRZ. And I think in the BRZ world, what you get is kind of a little underwhelming, and it's the fine-tuning, modification, the aftermarket accessibility is what makes the BRZ a really fun car. So I think we have another great platform, another great start to another great couple of 8 years of production with the new BRZ. So thank you to Magnaflow for giving me this little access, this first little look at this car, and I look forward to seeing what they come up with for their new exhaust system. So can I start it? Now the exhaust on this car is the Magnaflow exhaust.
It's one of our prototypes.
So there's still room for volume.
And your input.
Okay, it's my job here to make sure that Magnaflow offers something for all the boys who like a little bit more volume. So I'm gonna do my part. So this is a prototype. We'll give a little first taste, see how it sounds. It looks great, so we're already off to a great start. But this is still factory headers. This is all the cats, all that good stuff. So let's see how it sounds. It sounds nearly the same as the Gen 1. We'll let it kind of back off of its high rev, kind of like first minute startup deal that it does, and then we will let it into its normal idle, heat it a little bit, see what we can squeeze out of this 2.5. Okay, obviously a lot quieter once it's at resting idle. Yeah, you can hear there's personality somewhere in there. Let's kind of give it a little bit of a little bit of gas, see what it sounds like, and let's get into it. wasn't expecting it to have that much pep out of it. Sounds pretty good. I'm curious to see when the exhaust is a little bit more opened up, what happens to the rasp at the top end of the car. I think Magnaflow has a few pieces that is gonna be trying to fight and get rid of that rasp, because it's not the best sounding thing. So really good start from Magnaflow. We're gonna have to fine tune this prototype a little bit and just find the sweet spot for it, but I'm actually surprised on how loud that got on a pretty much all catted, all resonator included exhaust. So off to a good start. Big things for this thing coming soon.